Hello and welcome to The Man Who Kept Dying. In today's video, I would like to do a chapter in depth of chapter 8 and chapter 13 of the novel The Man Who Kept Dying. Chapter 8 is titled Askayah and chapter 13 is titled The Guides. And both chapters have to do with the notion of having spirit guides, and more specifically also a guardian angel. Let's start with chapter 8. So chapter 8 is titled Askayah. Askayah is Mika's guardian angel, and as I'm sure you know now, Mika is the main character of the novel The Man Who Kept Dying. What I want to share with you today is the inspiration behind the character of Askayah, because Askayah and the other guides, they do appear quite early in the novel, and as a reader you are aware of their names. Mika, however, for quite a few chapters is completely unaware of the relationship he has with Askayah and the two other guides, who are named Hakuk and Adonnaï. Starting with Askayah, the inspiration for Askayah, and Askayah being Mika's guardian angel, is a group meditation I did shortly after I started to write the novel. Because it was the first novel I ever wrote, and still is the first, I'm not writing any other one. If anything, I'm just trying to translate it. I've translated 2/3 of the novel in French. I'm trying to translate the last third. But truth being told, I had to pause it, and it's been quite a few months since I haven't done it. It's an exercise that takes quite some time, and I'm quite busy professionally as well. So between recording videos or doing the translation, I'm prioritizing recording videos at the minute. But I'll finish the translation for everyone who's interested. There will be a French version of the novel at some point. When it comes, I'll notify you. Coming back to the story before I get lost into where I was going with that. And actually I'm lost about where I was going with that. Oh yeah, group meditation. Yes, when I was starting to write the novel, because contrary to how I would write a novel today, and perhaps one day I should do a video about how not to write a novel as a beginner, I did not really define all the main characters in the novel. And that may be surprising, because you may think, like, how did you actually write the storyline? Well, I started to write the chapters inspired from my personal life experiences. So I didn't really need to have a coherence or start having or imagining characters. I had an idea about different characters and how things would be. I had not given them names or appearances. And because things do come to you when you are in a creative vibe, and also remember, I was writing this novel in my own personal time, so still having a job, so it was a side project. I had plenty of time for ideas to come and flow, and then organize how I wanted the story to be shaped. But let's go back to the group meditation, because I've been quite off track for a good couple of minutes now. It was shortly after I had started to write the first few chapters of the novel in no particular order. I went to that group meditation with my wife, who were invited by somebody we knew, and with whom we did the QHHT hypnosis session, the regression sessions. And she told us, like, oh, you both have a very lovely, good energy or vibration, and I'm doing a group meditation. It would be really nice if you guys could come along. And so we came, and we had no idea about what was the content of that meditation. Just thought, like, it's a group meditation, whatever happens. But actually she did not do a regression, but she did a kind of almost hypnosis or a meditation that was very visual. And the context of the meditation was about meeting your guardian angel. So as I meditated and I drifted in my meditative state and started to have visualizations, I found myself in what I could only describe as North America, but like centuries ago, because there was no civilization, nothing modern. If anything, I was in the middle of nature, which was very lush, very abundant. And to set the scene, what I could feel is kind of an overcast, warm day, and it's sort of humid, and I'm sort of standing slightly above sort of a country side / meadow / forestry landscape, and in the distance what I can see is like a huge waterfall, and my instinct right away is I need to get to the top of that waterfall. And I look at my body, and I'm like very strongly built Native American male, and I feel like my body is quite young. I start running and picking up pace, make my way up to the bottom or the source of the waterfall, and then during the whole meditation I'm just like making my way up in the mountain, climbing different paths, sometimes climbing with my bare hands some rocky parts nearby the waterfall, until I reached the top of the waterfall. And there I reached like a kind of a beautiful plateau, and it's really deafening, the water just coming through. Remember, I'm under hypnosis / meditative state, so the visualization is quite, has got quite a lot of sensory input to it. And in the distance, because it gets quite rocky now that I'm on top, I see like the beginning of a forest, so I see like massive trees. And I know I'm about to meet someone. And it was just the sort of setting up the scenes, because the person guiding the meditation would say, oh, someone's going to appear in front of you, and that person will be your guardian angel. And I see someone coming out of the forest, and a small, very stocky figure, and a Native American elder comes to me. And he's really dressed like what you would imagine a Native American elder to be dressed like in, you know, our imagination or imaginary scenario. And he comes to me, and right away we have this very particular embrace. And basically he puts his hands on my shoulders, I put my hands on his shoulders, our foreheads touch, and we rub our nose, which could sound a bit like you know, in Australia or New Zealand, where people do rub their nose. I believe it's there. Don't quote me on that one, I may be wrong. But we have that sort of like welcome embrace. And then we sit. And he gives me a gift. Again, that was guided through the meditation, like, you know, the guardian angel is here to give you a gift. Receive the gift that the guardian angel is giving to you. And he takes the gift from behind his back, and he gives me sort of a necklace. And on that necklace, dotted at very precise intervals, are stones, gems, animal teeth, and like animal crows too. And I'm looking at it like I can see and feel there's a connection with nature there. And he puts the necklace around my neck, and he ties it behind my neck, and it falls just perfectly right on my, what is it, clavicule in French? My collarbone in English. And it falls just right, you know, on the line of my collarbone. And what he does next is quite surprising, because he uses his hands, and with his top of his fingers, he really presses down the collar or the necklace on my collarbones, and I can really feel the pressure of all the stones, the gems, the animal teeth and claws. And it's like the necklace becomes one within me. And he shares with me that basically, Vincent, this is your connection with nature. Never lose it. And in life, if you ever feel disconnected from nature, just tap your collarbone. And that gesture, A, will be very calming for you, and B, will remind you or reawaken instantly your connection with nature. And then we both stand, We have the same embrace and he waves me goodbye, so to speak, walks back to the forest, and I'm left just admiring the sun setting over that beautiful waterfall and the songs of the birds, like chirping around, and just watching the sunset. That was the meditation in itself, about meeting your guardian angel. I found it so profound that I decided that this person, who by the way I learned the name was Askayah during the meditation, would be Mika's guardian angel too. And I've decided to make Askayah the wise Native American guide who really knows well, who's really patient, wise, knows Mika very well, and is looking after Mika. On the contrary, we also have the guides. And Mika has got two guides as part of the novel. The first guide is named Hakuk. And the guides are presented in chapter 13, I shall say. The first of the two guides, Hakuk, is actually an alien guide. She doesn't look human. She looks like your typical grey alien, except that she's got a very dark brown skin. She likes to wear, at least in the novel, kind of a coat which is dark blue or navy blue, and has got a very high collar. Hakuk got one specific characteristic, which is that her facial expressions are very difficult to read for Mika, because when she smiles, Mika can barely see she's smiling, and she's got multiple eyelids, just like an owl, and it's very difficult to read her eyes for Mika. And Hakuk appears as the very, how would I put it? Hakuk, she's very serious. She's very dedicated to helping Mika. She has got a sense of humor, but you have to go beyond some layers to find it. She seems to be the most serious of the three different guides Mika's got. She's quite devoted to explaining metaphysical concepts to Mika and making sure he really gets them. On the other hand, you've got Adonnaï. And Adonnaï is the opposite of Hakuk. Adonnaï is carefree, buoyant, almost flamboyant, and kind of very charismatic. She's very eccentric, and she loves to show it. As part of the novel, it's a lot easier for Mika to relate with Adonnaï because she's always cheerful and she's always not making fun but finding the positive in every event and still explaining quite complicated or advanced metaphysical concepts to Mika. The inspiration behind the two is very different to the inspiration behind Askayah. For Hakuk, actually, she had come to me in dream state way before I even knew I was going to write this novel. The first time I saw her was in one of my lucid dreams. And it was quite a particular lucid dream because I remember I could manifest objects at will. I could get out of situation just by manifesting those objects. I could not really make sense of the dream, aside from the fact that everything seems to be created from my own willpower or desire to create something. Towards the end of that dream, in which I was completely marveling at the endless possibilities that I could create, I find myself during nighttime walking down a narrow cobble street, and there is a small individual walking towards me. And it's quite dark, there's barely any light, but I can see the silhouette of that individual. And I can see that person is sort of quite small, wearing a shawl, a black shawl, so I can't see the face of the person. And as we're about to walk past, she, and I say she because I heard a feminine voice, removes the shawl from her face. And I'm facing an alien face. Very naturally, she says to me in a feminine voice, hence the she, "Hello, Vincent." And I remember completely panicking at the idea of, whoa, what's happening? Like, I have not created that, have I? You have to bear in mind this was the first time in one of my dreams I was finding myself face to face with an alien being. So I panicked and I woke up thinking, what the heck was this dream? Then she appeared in subsequent dreams. And she explained to me that she was one of my guides for the time being because I needed to explore more of the possibility of alien life forms and what they could look like and so on. So she tried her best not to scare me in subsequent dreams, but we had conversations and so on. I didn't know her name was Hakuk. It's when I was writing the novel, I thought about those dreams again, and I thought about including Hakuk as one of my guides, and then Hakuk came very naturally to me, and I found it to be quite fitting with the character I decided to assign to her in the novel. Adonnaï, third guide, appears in an even different manner. This time, it was during lunchtime and I was taking a walk nearby a lake we had nearby the offices I was working at in the UK at the time. And during lunchtime we used to sort of go on a walk. This time I was on my own, and as I'm walking this sort of forestry path leading to the lake, I'm alone and I'm just in my own mind or in my own thoughts, and all of a sudden I see someone like towards my right and ahead of me, someone who's like just walking there and wasn't there like a second ago. And I just look on the side and I see, or I hallucinate, because it's difficult to pick any other word, that kind of tall, like taller than I am, blue being that looks like part fish, part snake, part human, completely turquoise blue, smiling at me, sending that really cheerful energy and sort of like almost twisting on herself. And again, I feel right away very much a feminine energy emanating from her. And once she does that, she disappears. And I'm looking at the path and I'm like, wow, I've just had a hallucination, but it seemed so real, like there really was someone just right ahead in front of me. And never in my wildest dreams or imagination I would have come up with that sort of shape or body shape or creation, so to speak. So I was a bit baffled. But then it was also at that time I was starting to write a few chapters of the novel and I was missing one character. And I just laughed at the situation and said, well, here you go, you know, whether you've really seen a being from another dimension, whether you've just imagined it or hallucinated it, doesn't really matter. The fact is you've got like an inspiration for another character to include in the novel. And as I started to write and define who that character was this time, the name Adonnaï came to mind. And if you've read the novel as it's in English, yes, it's pronounced Adonnaï, Adonnaï. So here you have the background story between the three different guides. The story with regards to Askayah in chapter 8 of the novel is what I've described to you. So I've reused the experience of the guided meditation to include it as a chapter, of course making a few tweaks to make this story entertaining for you as a reader. When I introduce the guides, there is no mention about how I met them. They are just Mika's guides and they're here. But through that video, I'm sharing with you the exact way the inspiration for those two additional guides actually came. One thing I also added in the novel was the distinction between a guardian angel and a spirit guide. To me, if you'd ask those days, I would tell you that a guide is a guide and a guardian angel is a guide and vice versa. In the novel, because I wanted to make a distinction, what I explain is you've got a guardian angel from the moment you are born to the moment you will take your last breath. The guardian angel will look after you during all your lifespan. Guides would be slightly different. Guides would come and go depending on the needs you have at a specific time in your life. So guides would have different levels of expertise, and they would bring that expertise to your life by suggestion, through intuition, through synchronicities or people you would meet, basically to keep you on your good path. At the end of the day, the choice to be or to stay on that path of life is yours. Guides cannot intervene more than just sending you their guidance from afar. Whether you want to pick it or not is basically your free will or your decision. At least that's how I've introduced it in the concept of the novel. And Hakuk and Adonnaï are two alien guides that are specifically helping Mika with regards to his quest and his constant questioning of the meaning of life. And Mika went from spending most of his life believing that alien life form was not just possible, but fact, to actually doubting it and thinking like aliens don't exist at all. There's only Earth, and the day you pass, nothing happens. You're just being met with, dark void, and you don't exist anymore. So as Mika finds himself into the metaphysical, and he reconnects with all the notions and aspects of the metaphysical, it comes as quite a surprise to him that he's got two spirit guides that are actually aliens. As a result, he learns about different civilizations, different alien life forms, different dimensions, different planets, and so on. It's all part of the concepts explained through the novel. And what do I believe with regards to guides? Well, to share the truth, I do believe that yes, we do have guides. The reason I say that is through my own personal experience. I don't think I've ever really met one of my guides face to face, but that's not the point. In my dreams, or in some events or intuitions that I've had in my life, I can sometimes feel more of a certain energy. And for example, I could say that yes, the dreams with Hakuk were very clear, that she would say, I'm one of your guides and I need to guide you with regards to understanding that when you see in your dreams a plane that sort of lands and hover above the water, it's not really a plane. It's kind of a spaceship, but your brain associates it with a plane and so on. So she was explaining things to me in my dreams. And one could argue, this is just a dream, it's got nothing to do with a guide, it's just my imagination going wild, which is entirely possible. I'm not dismissing it, I've got quite a good imagination. But I do believe that yes, we have guides, guiding us from the spirit side and doing their best to keep us on a good track, or at least sending us hints constantly about where to go. Do I believe there's a difference between a guardian angel and a spirit guide? I think the lines are a bit blurred because I believe they come and they go. I believe you always have support, and yes, there may be not just one guardian angel, but potentially a few guides that will always keep an eye on you. That is very possible to me. And that's the idea behind the novel. When you cross to the other side, you need to reawaken to the fact that there is a spirit side, there is a metaphysical world. And my near-death experience showed that to me, and having listened to countless stories from near-death experiences, or even people having out-of-body experiences and so on, it seems pretty obvious that there is something else beyond our physical life. And that's why I wanted to introduce through those different chapters in the book and through the journey of Mika in the metaphysical, as he makes his decision about staying on the other side or coming back to life. I hope you enjoyed this story. I know it's a slightly longer video, but it covers 2 chapters instead of 1. Next chapter will be chapter 10 of the book, which is called The Doppelganger Effect. And it is a true story about a lookalike that caused me many issues when I was in a specific location, being younger, and that ended up in a car chase one evening in the middle of the city. I'll share more in that video. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video, the in-depth behind, or the behind the scenes behind this chapter, or those 2 chapters. I hope you are having a great day, weekend, day of the week, whatever time it is for you when you're watching this video. I wish you a lot of positive and sending you lots of love and positive vibes. And of course, until next time, be conscious, my friends.